morally. There's no way that somebody like that could go to hell. You don't go to hell because of the fact that you are moral or immoral. You go to hell because you don't have anybody to keep you out of hell. That's why you go to hell. There's only one that can keep you out of hell. Just one. The Lord Jesus Christ. Just one. There's just one name given under heaven whereby we must be saved. There's only one who went to the cross and suffered hell on the cross.
I can make an assassin. Okay, that's 1957 technology. Wow. Here we are 60 years later, and the American people are just about as clueless as they can be when it comes to this kind of money.
A potential terrorist, a potential extremist. He or she does not have a criminal record as yet, but we are investigating. There is a criminal investigation that's been opened on this person. Let's go to each across the street. That person who looks like she wouldn't harm a fly. Yes, that's how they present to you. They look like they wouldn't harm a fly, but you never know. Look, and that's the other thing. I think we show them flies as well. From various people have gotten reports that they are being shown something. They're literally being shown something. You know, they're being shown a document or a whole file with falsified information on it.
Right. I'm sorry, but what is it they could be showing? A coloring book? I mean, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. And they have to be totally fabricating lies to, oh, here's a document, we're not going to let you read it.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, and also I think it could be sort of a cut and paste thing of, browsing history on the internet, perhaps. Or some email that somebody might have sent taken completely out of context. Something like that. A conversation recorded taken out of context.
Or it's the very same document for 300,000 people. That is never scrutinized. And they make up this big document that has accusations like, we suspect she was jaywalking for years before her neighbor caught her. It's ludicrous. I mean, how is it all of these people have totally lost their critical thinking skills? How is it?
They have lost their critical thinking skills, they've lost their humanity, they've lost their compassion and their awareness, they've lost their neighborliness. How is it that they are so willing to throw the neighbor under the bus and simply fall over when the badge approaches them? And if you remember, I recently published Sherry's story. And, Sherry, it's a long and involved story. Basically, she faced a lot of retaliation after speaking out as an Alzheimer's advocate when her grandmother was being treated very poorly in various nursing home facilities in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And after that, she started to experience all sorts of harassment on the streets, literally basic gang stalking, COINTELPRO regimen, stalking, harassment, and so forth and so on. And then when she later moved to New Mexico, she was visited there by the Secret Service. And that's connected to her letter to Obama. She wrote a very nice letter to President Obama, which is printed along with her interview in my article on my website. And basically, she kind of implored him. She appealed to his finer side, if one exists, to kindly pay attention to the Alzheimer's issue, and that it was a wonderful letter, very warmly written, very wholeheartedly written, poetically written. She enclosed a poem of hers for her grandmother in it, and so on and so forth. And later on, she was hit with synthetic telepathy. She was hit with military-grade voice-to-skull technology. And so her subsequent letters to President Obama, because, Sherry is a brilliant woman who knows exactly at whose door to lay the blame. And she knocked on the president's door, and she sent letters via the White House website saying, please stop doing this. Do you think you have any right? How would you like to be hit with the voice-to-skull technology? It's pretty abrasive, it's pretty abusive, it's very wrong. and nobody should be subjected to this. So shortly after that, the Secret Service paid her neighbors a visit. And one of her neighbors actually told her what transpired. And this neighbor, and we have to say, exactly, there are very few people in America there who are standing up for those who have been wrongfully targeted. But this neighbor was fantastic. If you remember that whole story. So just briefly to recap, the Secret Service guy went and asked her, so have you seen her toting a gun case back and forth to and from work? And the neighbor looked at him blankly and said, you mean her yoga mat and her yoga case? Because Carrie is an ardent yogi and does Bikram yoga, And this is a person who was a dancer and choreographer and works as an accounting manager. And to sully Sherry's reputation seems absolutely laughable to me. So, and apparently also to the famous director. And then the guy said, so, and did you see, have you seen her carrying strange bags filled with strange stuff?
Broadcast, but they've used the sexual abuse to control these celebrities and these stars and musicians. And what they'll do is they'll start the abuse right after they've signed some deal. And they always, try to choose children that come from very vulnerable families. They choose and they prey on children that come from poor families where the father's an alcoholic and maybe the mom's a drug addict. And they choose the most vulnerable children because they're the ones that are the most desperate and they're the easiest to control. So this game has been going on in Hollywood for a very long time, and that's why we see so much sexual abuse in Hollywood.
This is really important stuff. By the way, folks, follow Liz Croker. Liz is as honest a journalist as you can possibly come across. Like any other good journalist, I wouldn't agree with Liz on 100% of things. There would be something wrong if that was the case, but I agree with her 99% of the time. Her work is excellent. She's really, really, really good. Liz, there are two things I want to ask before we talk about what's going on in more detail in Hollywood. And I'm going to ask, by the way, you're doing something that's quite extraordinary, and I think it's putting you in danger. Now, I know you're not a virtue signaler. There are too many of those in the independent media. It's all about me and I'm being attacked for spilling the truth. I know you're not one of those, but I worry about you because you're talking about Dennis Hastert and you're also asking questions around some of the people that would have known him. You're asking pertinent questions. And I want to talk about those in a few minutes. But before we talk about those questions, is there we have to consider, you just said there that it's widely known what was going on in Hollywood for years. Could it be argued that the reason the mainstream media didn't go after it is for fear that they'd be accused of anti-Semitism because the Jewish presence in Hollywood is all pervasive. Now, I'm not anti-Jew, Liz, or I don't hate the Jews or anything like that, but we've seen in England Asians who've been abusing children and weren't investigated because the investigators feared they would be called racist. Have people not gone down the route of exposing pedophiles in Hollywood for fear to be called anti-Semitic? What do you think?
I never really thought about it that way, and I mean, that could be possible, but I think that the reason why people have stayed silent for so long is, well, first of all, the mainstream media is involved in pedophilia. They're involved in child sex trafficking, okay? That's number one. So that's why the mainstream media has not covered pedophiles, not covered child sex trafficking. I know this firsthand because I've been censored from the mainstream media for trying to expose this in the mainstream media. And the reason why the mainstream media doesn't cover it is because very powerful people, and I'm not saying everyone in the mainstream media is a pedophile, okay? But I'm saying that there are very powerful people in the mainstream media that are tied to the pedophilia. They're involved in the child sex trafficking. And those people are controlling the narrative, and they have not allowed stories like this to come out. I mean, look at NBC. They've known about this for years. Ronan Farrow said that they basically squashed his story. They lied. They try to make it seem like he didn't have enough. He had police records. He had on-camera interviews, I think, with 8 women. I mean, he had a thoroughly sourced story that was ready to go that any reasonable lawyer for a publication would have approved. So they lied about that, and it's like, well, why didn't they cover that story? Why didn't they break that story? And it's because they're protecting sexual predators and pedophiles. There's people in the media that are protecting sexual predators and pedophiles. Look at Jacob Schwartz. Jacob Schwartz, he was a top aide for Mayor Bill de Blasio, okay, in New York. And he used to go on CNN as a guest.
Yeah.
Okay? To this day, CNN has not covered the fact that he has been arrested for having thousands and thousands of images of child porn. People raping toddlers, okay? And I actually confronted Jake Tapper at Politicon. There was a political fest in Los Angeles this summer, and I went to the festival to confront some of these people that have been protecting pedophiles who refuse to cover sex trafficking in the mainstream media. So I confronted Jake Tapper about this, and I got video of it, which I posted on my blog, and I said, why aren't you covering any of these elite pedophile arrests? Why aren't you covering the fact that Jacob Schwartz, who used to go on CNN and works for Mayor Bill de Blasio, was arrested for child porn? Why haven't you covered the fact that Raymond Liddy, who is the Assistant Attorney General in California, Gordon B. Liddy's son, he's the one that was involved in the Watergate scandal. These are very powerful politicians. Not even a blip on their website. Absolutely nothing. So the mainstream media is involved with this. So I don't necessarily think it's because people are afraid that they're going to be accused of being anti-Semitic because there's a lot of high and powerful Jewish people in Hollywood like Harvey Weinstein that are part of this. I think that at the end of the day, the media is involved in child sex trafficking, and that's why they're not covering it. And not only are they involved in it, they have actively covered it up. They actively lied about Pizzagate. They lied about James L. Hodges. They lied about Comet Ping. They did not tell the truth. Not only are they not covering it, they're actively covering for pedophiles. And furthermore, I will say this too, the New York Times, ironically, has promoted pedophilia just a week before the Harvey Weinstein story broke.
How did they do that, Liz? Tell us how did they promote it?
Okay, so a week before the Harvey Weinstein story broke, there was an op-ed in the New York Times right after Anthony Weiner got his sentencing for sexting with a minor. So he's a convicted pedophile. We know Anthony Weiner is a convicted pedophile. So he gets his sentencing. There was an op-ed in the New York Times, and the writers said that she admires Anthony Weiner, and the headline was, "Why I Admire Anthony Weiner." And then she goes on to say that she admires him because he accepted his punishment and he didn't try to say that he has an illness to get out of going to jail. Well, that was a complete and total lie. He did try to get out of going to jail. His lawyers aggressively tried to get him out of going to jail. Furthermore, they try to blame him sexting with a minor on the fact that he had a quote-unquote illness. So, you have the New York Times saying that they admire a convicted pedophile, and they're lying about the reasons of why they admire him. And they had other stories that are similar to that. So it's very interesting that, about a week later, we have this complete about-face from the New York Times. And I don't know exactly why we've had this complete about-face. I've heard different reasons, but there's something going on behind the scenes, and there's something really big going on behind the scenes. And the mainstream media is now being forced to confront this issue. I wrote about this in February. I said this is going to get so big, pedogate and sex trafficking in East Hollywood is going to get so big that the mainstream media networks that have been covering the pedophilia, they're going to be forced to cover this. And I was right. So something's going on behind the scenes here where they're being forced to cover it. And I don't think it had. I don't think that it had to do with necessarily people being afraid of being called an anti-Semitic, to come out about Harvey. I think it's more that the people that were protecting him are involved too.
Yeah, for me, Liz, there are pedophilia groups all over the world, and they come in different shapes and sizes. We have I mentioned on the show last night and tonight with my first guest, we have the clerical ones. The pedophilia is not exclusive to Catholics, it's not exclusive to Muslims, it's not exclusive to Jews. It's an endemic thing. But Hollywood is a Jewish elite, and the media is largely run by Jewish oligarchs and Jewish businessmen and women. And that's why I was throwing that in the mix. I just want to do a quick recap. Liz Crokin is on the line to us today. It's great to have Liz back on the program. Very, very good journalist, written for many well-known mainstream stations. She's been on the case of dispute affiliate networks operating in the US for some time now. She's an author as well. Just want to say, Liz, I just want to say, David Icke is listening to the program, and he says, it's amazing to hear Liz, after decades of banging my head, the waters are breaking, he said to me, and he's been covering this since the early 1990s. He has a question, does David, and my friend and colleague Jean-Ann Crowley in Dublin has a question as well. David says that he would like to know why she thinks the New York Times went for Harvey Weinstein. Why did they do it? And Jean-Ann's question is broadly similar. Why does Liz think that Weinstein has been fed to the pack like this? Why?
Okay, so there's many theories, and I'm still not sure why he was chosen, he was picked. And I know you guys don't agree with this, but I truly believe this with all of my heart. All of my heart. I believe that these pedophiles are going down only because of Trump. And I believe that 100%. To the core of my soul. I have been tracking every single arrest. I've been tracking every single statement that Trump has made about pedophiles. I've tracked, how he's called out pedophiles years ago for calling out Anthony Weiner. I've tracked the deep state. I've tracked how they've tried to break him down. And I've tracked all the people that are the most anti-Trump, that are spinning their head and screaming out against Trump the most. Okay? These people are all part of the New World Order. A lot of them are pedophiles, and a lot of them are tied. And if they're not pedophiles, they have something to hide, all right? They're criminals. They're involved in some kind of criminal activity. So we have...
But just, Liz has momentarily dropped out there. It's one of those nights, isn't it, for people to come down. I'm going to get her back on very quickly. Again, I think she's on a mobile device, which sometimes can be problematic. We'll get her back on. I'm not convinced about Trump's part in bringing down pedophiles, of course. But I'm going to listen to this. I have my say on this, don't I, a lot, and I'm not convinced about Trump, but I'm going to hear her out. She's very good. Liz Crokin is hopefully going to be back with me in a second. There seems to be a problem there. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a very quick break, and hopefully we'll sort it out. She's on a mobile device. She might be going somewhere where the signal might be a bit better. So a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Back in a minute with more. This is the Eurochallenge Challenge Show.
It's a place high in the mountains of Spain, a sanctuary where souls gather from all around the globe to learn about themselves and experience powerful changes in the way we see our world. They become awakened.
Whether Liz is right or not about Trump's involvement in it, the fact is something is going on. And it's not just in America, it's going on here, as it went on in Ireland, and it's going on elsewhere. The information is coming to the surface, regardless of who or what is responsible for it. Liz believes that there's evidence that Trump has, under the radar, been making inroads into outing people and, encouraging prosecutions against people. And I don't know that that's not true. I'm not sure of it. One of the things I was going to mention to this was, we did mention the New York Times. That was the newspaper used to expose Weinstein. And if you follow politics in the United States, you will know the New York Times is pretty much as anti-Donald Trump as any newspaper could be. It's a very pro-Democrat, very pro-Hillary Clinton newspaper. Bill Clinton newspaper, very pro-Obama, very pro-Democratic Party paper. So that kind of, again, flies in the face of the idea that Trump is somehow behind it. I don't know. What I'm very interested in is this area of everybody knew about. And I mentioned on the program yesterday, didn't I? I'm a big fan of the the books of Mario Puzo. I've read them all. Amerikan, Sicilian. I've read them all. The Godfather, of course. Fool's Story. I've read all these books. And he was very, 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 very surprised when he was researching The Godfather and he was looking at the Johnny Fontaine. I mentioned this yesterday, so I won't labour this point if you heard this yesterday. But he was stunned at the levels of sexual depravity that he witnessed while he was researching what was going on in Hollywood. And a friend of mine has sent me a message, Paul, who says, why would a president who is so pro-Israel, why would that president expose Zionist pedophiles? And again, this is a point I would have made to Liz, and I did make this point to Liz back in February. I asked her this very question. Trump is as pro-Israel and as controlled by Israel a president that the United States have ever had. You know, I don't know. But maybe Trump is not the full shilling. I know that's a very weak argument, right? It's a weak argument in a way. Maybe he's not he's not the full shilling. But maybe there's some merit to all this to say. I don't know. But I don't see it. But then again, I'm not there either. 25 minutes to the top of the hour. She's gone offline, and that is obviously means that for the moment we can't chat, which is worrying me because there's not very much time left in the program. But she has said some very, very interesting things about satanic pedophilia and how it was basically, you know, an open secret in Hollywood. And again, last night we heard the old audio tapes of Corey Feldman and we might have Liz back actually, hang on a second. We do. Liz, you're back.
Oh my God, I was talking. I hope,
Yeah, you went offline momentarily there, and I did wonder, were you still chatting away there? But thanks be to, as we say in the old country, thanks be to Jesus, you're back. Listen, I just want to ask you this, because we've got 15, 16 minutes left on. Just a couple of points, and then, look, you know me from speaking to me before, you know we have a disagreement on this. So I'm going to just put 2 points here, and then I'm going to shut the hell up and the floor is yours.
Sure.
2 things. The New York Times is pretty much anti-Trump, and we know Trump is very pro-Israel, pro-Netanyahu, and you have to wonder why would he expose Jewish pedophiles who, many of these pedophiles, they do, you know, a lot of political work for Israel. So this is the problem I have with Trump, so the floor is yours, go ahead.
well, I think Trump's exposed pedophiles. He doesn't care what religion they are. Like, you know, the deep state has infiltrated pedophiles into many religions, many groups, from Jewish groups, you know, Catholic Church, as we well know, Scientology, sexual abuse and pedophilia is huge in Scientology, okay? You know, pedophilia is rampant in all of these circles. So it's like, I think he's going after all the pedophiles. If you're a pedophile, like, you're done. I don't think that he is just targeting, you know, certain groups of pedophiles, because, you know, the Illuminati, the deep state, they have infiltrated like a ton of groups of pedophiles, and intentionally, okay? And so let me just explain this here. The deep state has infiltrated on purpose in different groups with pedophiles and sexual predators. They have literally lifted up and put people that they know are sexual predators and pedophiles in positions of power to keep these pedophile rings flourishing, to keep them running, okay? So, for example, there are a lot of people who are police officers, politicians, judges, district attorneys, and it's not just limited to law enforcement. We're seeing pedophiles in Hollywood, the banking system. We're seeing pedophiles, you know, in a lot of these religious organizations. All of them. I mean, there's very few religious organizations where pedophilia isn't rampant, okay? And these people have been, and I learned this as a victim, by the way. Like, I unfortunately have gone through the system. I've been dealing with, the person that sexually assaulted me. I've been dealing with going through the court system with a person that sexually assaulted me for 5 years now. And I firsthand experienced how I had a sex crime detective laugh in my face when I tried to report a sex crime committed against me, which almost killed me, by the way. And this is before I really was woke and understood what was going on. And now with everything I know and everything I've researched, I now know that pedophiles, they operate in rings, and the deep state has infiltrated so many different circles to protect
No doubt.
child sex
Liz, can I make one final point on that? Let me just make one. You're absolutely right. This is not a Jewish problem. But, I'm going to say but, the pedophile networks operating in Hollywood, it is a Jewish problem. And many, whether they like it or not, they can scream anti-Semitism all they want, as we've exposed on this program. And the New York Times did a piece on this, the Hollywood Reporter did a piece, the Times of Israel did a piece on this. Hollywood is owned by Jewish businessmen and Jewish women. They've overseen the satanic pedophilia you talked about. Now, many of these Hollywood moguls are very, very useful to the state of Israel. And Trump is very pro-Israel. So why would he expose what are effectively Israeli Hollywood operatives? Why would he do that? He's pointing the hand that feeds him. I'm not saying he's not doing it, Liz. I'm just saying it's a hard sell, Go ahead.
Like I said before, I believe that President Trump loves children, and I believe that he is dedicated to exposing all the pedophiles. He does not care, where they're from, religion is, or who their allegiance is to. He doesn't care. It's just, I don't know. I think he's going after all of them. I mean, I've tracked all the arrests that have been made on his watch, and there's been Republicans, there's been Democrats, there's been
Yeah, everybody. Do you worry about him, Liz? I mean, I know you're a supporter. Listen, I admire that. Who the hell am I to be right? Listen, you and I are just exchanging opinions, and I'm delighted that you come on. I look forward to you coming back on again many times in the future. So, I've made my points. I'm not an idiot, so I'm going to shut up. And I totally respect your point of view. You must be worried about his safety then, Liz.
I do, but I believe God's protecting him, and I believe that he will leave pedophiles, globalists. I mean, they've been completely exposed, they've lost their power, and I do worry about them, and they absolutely, I believe that if they can, they will try to kill him. But I truly believe that he's being protected by God. I mean, he shouldn't have won the election. I mean, this man, he has defeated the odds at every step and turn. I mean, it's just like miracle after miracle, this man. I mean, the whole world was against him. He had, the media against him. He had all the elites against him. He had everyone in Hollywood against him. And Hillary had all the power, all the money. She had so much money. He had everything against him. He should have won. But I do believe that God played a hand in this. I believe God's protecting him. And, these evil people that have been running the world, raping children, these elite pedophiles, have been going on for too long. And I believe that this is God's will for them to come down.
I still hope you're right, Liz. Liz Crokin is on the line, folks. We've got about 7-8 minutes left on this. Thanks for doing it, Liz, and thanks for persevering with the technical problems. I want to go back to something we spoke about a bit earlier on. And this is terrific journalism. This is the essence of journalism, what you're doing, but it's dangerous. I've seen you today tweeting very, very senior politicians who had very close relationships with convicted paedophiles. Now, David Icke's been doing this for years. David's been asking questions of the friends of deceased paedophiles like Jimmy Savile and others, because this is where it leads. This is the network. You've been tweeting people, bravely I think, and very ballsy, if I can use that term, asking them very, very difficult questions about their relationship with one particular paedophile, the former congressman and football coach Dennis Hastert. Tell us more about that.
Right, so I'm from Illinois, he's from Illinois. Dennis Hastert is the former Speaker of the House. Now, Dennis Hastert was raping boys for decades.
Years.
He was a wrestling coach, okay, for years, and he raped several children, all right? And this goes back to how I was explaining that the deep state literally puts pedophiles in positions of power so they can continue, because if you're a pedophile, you're going to protect other pedophiles, obviously. I believe that he was handpicked to run for office, and he was promoted to the position he was promoted in because he's a pedophile. You know, pedophiles are great for the New World Order. They're great for the elite because they're easy to control. Because if you're raping kids and you know, they have evidence of that, proof of that, that is a great way to control a politician. That's a great way to blackmail a politician. But, okay, so Dennis Hastert, raping kids forever, ended up going to jail. You know, there's a lot of rumors that Senator Ben Sasse, okay, who also hates Trump. And I always say, look at the people that are speaking loudest against Trump because it's a good chance he's tied to pedophilia. There's a lot of rumors he worked with Dennis Hastert back in the days. And people used to procure little boys, you know, for him.
And you want to know what this guy Ben Sasse, you want to know what did you know? What did you know?
I want to know if he was involved in that. And of course he hasn't responded to my tweet. He won't. But there, you know, with this whole Weinstein thing coming out, there's so many people that are like, oh, why didn't anyone say anything? Everyone knew. Why didn't anyone say anything? Well, when the pedo gate breaks wide open with Congress, DC, John Podesta, okay, there's going to be people like Senator Van Sasse that people are going to look at him and say, you worked for Dennis Hastert. This is a known pedophile. What did you know and why did you say anything?
Well said, Liz, but this is the problem, you see. We've asked questions here about, you know, members of the royal family. Prince Andrew was a friend, a very close acquaintance of Jeffrey Epstein. We're not accusing Prince Andrew of anything. You haven't accused Ben Sasse of anything. You are just saying you knew this guy inside out. You must have known something. Is there anything you can do to help us with our further inquiry?
Exactly.
These are the questions you're asking. These are serious questions. And Sasse, because I saw your tweet and I took an intake of breath and I thought she's in dangerous territory here. And I looked at it and I went, right, but then I did a bit of research and Ben Sasse isn't being accused by me or by Liz Crokin of anything, but he was intimately acquainted with Dennis Hastert for years, and Liz believed that Hastert may have been procuring boys while he was working on the Hill. You think that, right?
Yeah, and here's another thing that I want to make clear to your audience. We're not. We know for a fact that the pedophilia is rampant in DC circles. Okay, it is. But there are people that are involved that aren't actually pedophiles. You know, the whole point of Jeffrey Epstein's island was to get video footage of people allegedly like raping minors. Now, there's no question that there were people that went there that aren't pedophiles, and the people that went there that weren't pedophiles, they were drugged, and then they were set up, and then they were videotaped and or photographed to make it look like they were involved in pedophilia and they were involved in raping children.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's really unfortunate because that's one of the reasons why good people stay silent, because they've been framed, they've been blackmailed.
This is the Godfather 2's thing, isn't it? This is the thing in the Godfather 2 when Tom Hagen brings the senator who won't do what Michael Corleone wants him to do. He brings the senator to a brothel and makes the senator think that he murdered a girl, but he didn't really murder her. But then, of course, he belongs to the Godfather forever. This is the sting that you're talking about. We've talked about that going on here in the UK as well. Good people put into compromising situations, and then they're owned forever then.
And that's their control. But you know, I do want to get back to the whole situation with pedophilia within the Jewish community, because you know, now that you brought that up, it's kind of my head's spinning because I'm remembering a few things that I want to point out about that. It is interesting because from my research, pedophilia is rampant within the Jewish religion, from what I've researched. And I've also discovered that predators prey on children at Jewish camps, okay? Now, it is interesting how pedophilia has been completely exposed in the Catholic Church, but we haven't heard, there hasn't been a huge scandal about the pedophilia that goes on in the Jewish community, and we do know that, the Jews control most of the mainstream media and Hollywood, so there is, you're probably onto something with that. But something else that I find that's very interesting, and I need to do more research on this, okay? But there's something to this, I know this with all my heart. Seth Rich, he went to a Jewish camp, okay? And he's also from Omaha, Nebraska. And that's where the whole Franklin scandal went down. And that they were taking, boys to be sex slaves for people in D.C. from Omaha. So, furthermore, who is Seth Rich? Seth Rich is the person who leaked the emails to WikiLeaks. I firmly believe that there's a tie between Seth Rich and sex trafficking, and it could just be that he found out about the pedophilia because he read the emails, he read the pedestal emails, and he knew that the sex trafficking was going on. That's part of the reason, that's why he leaked the emails. But, I wonder, why did he leak these emails? Was he a victim? He comes from an area where pedophilia is rampant. I've talked to his family members, and they have ties to Jeffrey Epstein, okay? So there's a lot of, and he would go to these Jewish camps. Oh, furthermore, I know this is very strange. The Democratic Party hasn't donated any money for the reward fund to find his killer. But you know what? They did donate money to the Jewish camp he went to in his name. And I don't know. I think there's something there.
I think, it's quite extraordinary the journey you're on, it really is.
Yes.
Some of our listeners didn't realise that you're a victim. I should have made that clear in the intro. This is me assuming knowledge. When we spoke back in February, we talked about your own experiences, Liz. Do us a favour, because I did say this last time, but it didn't materialise. Do drop in and out fairly regularly, will you please? Have an open door into the programme. I certainly don't know everything, Liz. I hope you're right about your president, but you're right about everything else, whether you're right about Trump or not. And you're doing great work there, and you're doing it for on behalf of other people, and I really admire that. You do need to be careful, look after yourself. Do you know what I mean by that?
I just want to make a real quick video explain the day in the life of a targeted individual. I know a lot of these have been my first about targeted individuals on Facebook. And when you look at the about, if you're not a target, you probably don't understand exactly what's going on. Maybe you have some idea, but
I'm a security industry specialist who worked for a private security company in Seattle, Washington. I am no longer employed by this company. I chose to leave because I could no longer in good conscience work for a corrupt company that is involved in a highly illegal federal program that is blatantly violating the constitutional rights of American citizens on a daily basis. My company had a contract with one of the largest, most powerful corporations in America that is headquartered in Seattle, Washington. During my time as a security specialist, I became aware of a massive social engineering program taking place in America today. What follows is a voice recording that I made some time ago. It is with laws that protect whistleblowers in mind that I am choosing to make this information available to the public. By doing so, I hope to put pressure on those in power in this country to investigate those involved in this social engineering program and bring them to justice. This social engineering program involves the federal government of the United States of America, the intelligence agencies of the United States of America, private security contractors, some of the largest corporations in America, local and state police, and social programs within the inner cities of America. This social engineering program experiments on the homeless and experiments on the financially struggling and experiments on individuals that do not have a lot of family and friends or money, so that they have no means to defend themselves from this parasitic, disgusting program. This program utilizes a technology that most know as voice-to-skull technology. It is an electromagnetic frequency machine, an electromagnetic frequency technology that utilizes radio frequency signals, microwave auditory effect to induce sound within the cranial cavity of the target. This makes the individual believe that they are hearing sounds and voices that are coming from within their own head, when in fact they are being beamed into their head via this technology. This technology is also used to manipulate the emotions of the individual. This technology manipulates the electrical signals in the brain, thus controlling thoughts and feelings and emotions and sensations throughout the body. It works by rewiring the brain by creating new neural pathways and destroying existing neural pathways. Thus, this literally changes the way a person thinks and thus behaves. It is used to control muscle movements. This technology can also be used to control the muscle movement of the target. It can take over one's hands or feet while driving and make you press on the accelerator or press on the brake or turn. This can be used to cause accidents. It can also be used to prevent accidents from happening. This technology can also tap into the optical nerve of the target and the auditory system of the target, so that those monitoring the target can see what the target is seeing and hear what the target is hearing. This information is then downloaded and stored on a computer in a highly secure, classified site on servers that are guarded by some of the tightest security in the world. This results in the individual's entire day, everything they see, everything they hear, everything they experiment, everything they experience, and everything they feel being recorded till the end of time. This technology can also be used to manipulate the emotions of the target. It can induce fear, love, hate. It can cause you to be nervous. It can cause you to be confident. It can cause you to be depressed. It can cause you to be happy. It can cause you to feel any fucking emotion at any time by artificially inducing it. This technology can be used to beam images and even motion pictures into one's brain. Images and motion pictures that are so realistic that you think you're actually watching a movie.